Good morning to everybody on the line, and welcome to today's webcast. It is my pleasure to turn it over to ForeFront to go ahead and kick this off. So take it away, ForeFront.
Good morning and good afternoon. Since we're on the West Coast, on the East Coast, it's afternoon here, having fun. So let's get started with our presentation today. If everybody could mute, that would be very helpful since you don't want too much feedback. Please send any questions via the online interface, and we'll try and get to them at the end of this presentation. This presentation is on optimizing your revenue stream with cloud analytics. My name is Anne-Marie Berger. I'm Managing Partner at ForeFront. We also have Ray Ensley, who's a Cloud BI Manager, and will be demoing Birst on Salesforce.com today. And we also have Karin Strohal, who is actually at Birst and is a Senior Solution Architect, who will be helping us with some questions if we have them. So let's get started on the agenda. We're going to look at some survey results in regards to how SFA analytics are doing in general. We have a little BI case study for one of our clients. We'll then go into a demo where we're doing a live Birst within Salesforce, maybe have a QA and learn some more, maybe lessons learned. So without further ado, let's talk about the survey results. I think it's sort of predictable, but it's sort of unusual given the amount of money people have spent in BI analytics these days. But it was done just in 2012, surveying over 300 BI professionals that have all sorts of different systems that are helping them. What's pretty astonishing is to see how unsatisfied people are with their current solutions. There are 80% who are not happy with how things are happening for them right now. And most of those are saying that, in fact, what they would like is a few more capabilities. They need a little more robustness. They need a little more of, what-if analytics. And, of course, a huge area is the ease of use for the end users. What are the challenges that they are facing? Well, most SFAs, including Salesforce.com, cannot handle what-if analysis. What if I change out my territory? What if I change my price points? What if I add a new product? These are all things that you can't do within Salesforce or any other CRMs, by the way, whether they be NetSuite or Sugar or a lot of the other, Microsoft CRM. This is not true just to Salesforce. I think the second area that is an issue for them is they can't integrate all the data coming in from the marketing, whether they be sometimes Eloqua or some of the other systems are not actually integrated. They're separate. That's an issue for them, and we'll see how Birst handles that in the demo. Also, the ERPs need to be pulled in to really get a better analysis of the items that are affecting your opportunities. Even though Salesforce does a decent job on dashboards, you can't really do a complete pipeline analysis. You're not going to see how the stages are moving from one to the other and what's causing that movement and how many people have moved out of stage 2 and dropped back to stage 1, things of that nature. So getting a complete pipeline analysis is very important, not something that's available to most of the people with their tools today. How did they get around this? How do all these BI guys get around this issue? Well, they export to Excel. That's a huge thing. I still think that's out there. They've got pivot tables and their macros going, and that's how they're able to share the data. Not the best way of doing so because it's prone to human error. There are a lot of SFA app reporting tools, but what we've seen with the bulk of the SFA reporting tools out there is they're not real time. They're very late. They might be updated once a day, once a week, depending on where the ERP data, et cetera, is coming from. A lot of clients also on the bigger side have data warehouse tools, and they're exporting Salesforce out of those data warehouse tools. But again, they're out in the data warehouse tool and not really available to Salesforce users. So how do you take care of this problem? You actually need to look at some other tools. So the finding summary in general overall is that for SFA and CRM analytics, there's very limited pipeline management. Again, we talked about not knowing how stages are going or what events are causing those stages to happen. There's no historical forecasting. So you're saying unless you do a huge amount of snapshots and you've got data back for 10 years, that's just not out of the box. So you can't see what you were doing this time last year and how many items were in stage 2 at this time last year. What was each territory doing? Also with the multi-information silos, again, the marketing area, the ERPs, maybe even revenue recognition components that are out there, you need to pull those all together. And how you can pull them all together is by using the right tools and the right groups. You might want to look at Birst, and you might want to look at ForeFront to help you with your integrations. Let me talk about a case study for one of our clients that we recently did, optimizing their revenue stream with Cloud BI. Birst, of course, is available both in a cloud edition as well as an on-premise edition. This client chose to go with cloud because we needed to bring things up to speed very quickly. They're a market leader with nationwide fundraising. In the top 5, they do an incredible amount of fundraising and gifts and donations. They've been using Sales Cloud now for about 5 years. They had an Oracle ERP that they're about to deprecate, actually, and we've helped them do that. And they worked with another tool in a BI, we called it a BI temp for about 2 years, and they weren't able to do what they needed to do. So basically what was happening with the way that they were approaching BI at this particular client is they were bringing all the ERP data for all the donations and the gifts and payments. They were coming into a SQL database at night or sometimes in a week, depending on how things were posted. And then we got data from Salesforce, which was more on the opportunity level and the the promise level of giving a gift. The end result was the reports that were coming out of this particular area had a huge amount of duplicates because you have a person that was here on the right that gave and had an opportunity, but here they had given multiple payments or multiple donations and multiple gifts. So the end result was that the reports were coming out with a person that was duplicated 4 or 5 times, depending on the years. Not very efficient for then taking that information and putting it out for a marketing campaign. So a lot of clients were they were very unhappy with this and actually outputting it to spreadsheets to clean up the data. A very difficult front end, in spite of the fact that it is one of the newer tools, and there's really no ad hoc status because the ERP data was not coming in on a quick fashion, and neither was CRM from Salesforce. What we did with ForeFront is, first of all, we migrated all of their data to SQL Server for auditing purposes, since they are deprecating the Oracle ERP. Now most of the transactions are going to be happening in Salesforce for both payments and donations and all that sort of stuff, sort of information. Pulled up cloud, and within 2 months we had the analytics with self-service and custom metrics running. Incredible ad hoc querying reporting. The ad hoc, you can say, give me this parameter and this parameter, where this parameter is not equal to this. The other place that the client was really happy with us was we were able to replicate all the previous auditing reports. We proved that they were matched what used to be in the old system, and they got out of the box secured access privileges because of how we set the workspaces, making sure that only the right people had access to the right data. In terms of Agile and Analytics, a lot of data, they had data from 93 to 2012. Ad hoc reports were great because, again, we had the up-to-date reporting, since Salesforce data is up-to-date about every 10 minutes. The data was actually too old because of the campaign data. I think there's something that people just don't realize with Salesforce is that a campaign influences an opportunity, it's always going to be the last campaign that touched that opportunity. So even though you may have spent, tons of time with a particular opportunity on an event, it was actually the last email that got the influence on the opportunity. That's really say no. You need to give weight to the opportunities or the events that are actually influencing the opportunity, not just the last in. I think the duplication was resolved. That was great for them. That was not that easy, actually. The compliance audit requirements were satisfied, so overall the client was very, very happy with results. And now we've started spotting consumer behavior, because now we can do the analytics across the years. We're able to pull in net worth statistics from people like Blackbaud, and we're actually able to do a snowbird analysis. If anybody wants to know what a snowbird is, that's people in the Northeast in general and Midwest that head off down to Florida or to Arizona. So based on that information, they're making decisions as to where the events actually should take place, because they can see where these people are purchasing from or where the payments are coming in from. So they got a single view for the forecast, pledge, and actuals, and they're extremely happy with what happened after taking 2 years to try and do this. We're up and running in the cloud with Birst. So just to give you an idea of what that looks like, not this particular client, but more on the opportunity level, standard opportunity, not donations. I'm turning this over to Ray, and Ray is going to talk about Birst inside Salesforce.com.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. As Anne-Marie said, my name is Ray. Good afternoon and good morning to some of you, depending on where you are. And what I'm going to go over today is Birst with inside your Salesforce instance. So what we have here is actually data that, this here is your revenue. This actually came from another system, an Oracle financial system. So what this provides is your Salesforce users can actually see data that came from another system, and they are able to view it within Salesforce.com. Primarily, like Anne-Marie said, what we're going to focus on is our opportunity pipeline itself. So what I'm actually going to do here is I have this chart over here that allows me to click into it, which will allow me to drill into my chart, and I can actually see our pipeline for this past quarter. So what I can see here is the starting pipeline. I came in with about $18.7 million in opportunities. About a little over 16 million were new. 760,000 of those opportunities came in, and they're moved in from another quarter, which is a good thing. We've won about almost 2.5 million. We lost almost 3 million, which could be a point of concern. It might be something to take down that you want to bring up to somebody and further research from this point. We lost over 15 million that was moved out, which is a major point of concern that we're actually going to drill into once we finish this. And then there was about 4 million in adjustments, which is maybe the opportunity amount changed a little bit, or it's for whatever reason we had to adjust it anyway, which ultimately gave us a net of about 10.7 million. But this 15 million is a major, major point of concern. We kind of want to investigate that now. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm actually going to click on moved out and drill into this. What this shows here is all our opportunities and accounts. These all link to Salesforce accounts and opportunities. You can actually click on them to drill into them, and it'll link you to your Salesforce account or opportunity. But what we want to find out is why are we having such a major problem. So let's try to focus on maybe just late-stage opportunities. So let's just select these 3 stages from qualified, shortlist, and selected. And let's take a look at what our revenue is from that. It's estimated a little under 1.5 million, which isn't really a major point of concern considering it's not as much as that 15 million. So maybe the point is the data is having issues at someplace else. So maybe it's someplace else we want to take a look at. So let's take a step back, and we'll go back to our forecasting revenue. And one thing I want to point out here is this big map here, which shows us our target by region. So green is primarily good, and a little bit lighter in certain areas. So if you take a look here, percentage of target, Midwest, Northeast, Midwest is on target, Northeast is a little below, but it's still primarily on target. Southeast is well ahead of their target goal, and the West is on target. But the Southwest is really, really struggling at 45%. So what we want to do is we want to click on this and drill into that. And here we get another map which is highlighting our region here, and all the states, all these pinpoints on the map here are all our opportunities throughout the Southwest itself. You can see here in New Mexico, this is blank. That's a point of concern because that means there's no opportunities coming from New Mexico. Another thing we can notice is we have all our sales reps here who, if they're performing on, if they're on target. We can see that Susan and Tyrone seem to be a little below the target. So what we might want to do is just figure out their opportunities and what's going on with them. So what we can do is we can take the lasso itself and select just these 2 sales reps. And what that'll do is it'll allow Birst to actually dynamically change your report for you. So you can see here between the 3 of them, we have 2 opportunities. One's still kind of in an early stage, and the other 2 are in late stages themselves. So this is another point where you may want to have a manager or somebody follow up with them and figure out why they're not meeting their target itself. So what I'm going to do now is actually undo that selection. Go back. And let's maybe take a look at our opportunities by stage. Our shortlist and selected have nine opportunities each. So let's drill into our shortlist here. So what this is showing us here is all our shortlisted opportunities, and also this column here is important that this is the risk score. Green risk, low risk scores is primarily we have opportunities that have a very good likelihood of closing, so it may not necessarily need that good kick to find out when they're going to close or if they're going to close. And yellow is more mid-level, but red could be a point of concern. So an example for our sales rep here, Kurt Kleiner, you may want to follow up with him and figure out when's this opportunity going to close, what's it going to take to close, and what else do we have to do. This is very nice and informational for users because we have a risk score that calculates this, all done within Birst, and can also show complex calculations, but a really easy to use way for your general users themselves. So let's go back actually to our state forecast here. Another point to maybe point out that could be a concern is we have a lot of late stage opportunities, which could be a major problem. We don't have a lot coming in, which are in early stages, but a lot in the late. So maybe there's something going on with our marketing department that's causing issues itself. So maybe we should take a look at our marketing dashboard that we have created. So this is a marketing dashboard which also pulls information from another system, but it shows us a typical marketing report where our lead sources are primarily coming from and other statistics as well. But one thing that's concerning is our website leads is down a lot. So previous quarters we may have had a lot of leads come in by our website. And recently we've gone through a website redesign, so that could be a cause of the issue. So we're going to click on that and drill into that a little bit further. You can see our different lead sources for our websites themselves here. You can see that our white papers are still providing a lot of leads with 25, promos 17. But one thing that's kind of concerning from us as a business standpoint is that we can see that demos is down a lot from previous quarters, which could be another flag to raise up to our users and our internal business people that say, why can't people find demos? Why are our demo leads down? It's another follow-up action that we can gather just from this information provided by Birst. Birst is extremely useful. It can provide your users a window and multiple different pivot points of location of how they're going to view their data, and it gives you a lot of quick to-do list items and follow-ups to track how things are going to go. A lot of these Birst solutions themselves can actually be built in hours and days versus a lot of other solutions which are weeks and months to build up these solutions. I'm actually going to turn this back over to Anne-Marie so she can actually go over some of our lessons learned while doing BI analytics in the cloud. So without further ado, I'll turn it back over to Anne-Marie.
Thanks very much, Ray. So we got to see a pretty graphical user dashboard look. We didn't spend a lot of time going into the actual parameters that you can put in from the front end. We would love to follow up with anybody who wants to look at that type of information. But I mean, we'll spend another 5 minutes or so, and then we're going to turn this over and actually turn it over to questions. So talking about Agile BI Analytics, what are the areas that are covered well by or decently by Salesforce.com or decently by most Salesforce? It tends to be, in fact, if I can get my mouse to come over here, in the reporting area, which is decent enough. Monitoring is semi-decent, but not great, although Salesforce really has done a lot of improvement in terms of the reports since I've been using it. But where it really fails is in the why did it happen or in the predictive analysis component. And obviously, the business value improves as you get more of this prediction and analysis, but the integration complexity also increases as you get more of this data, because you have to pull in, for prediction, you've got to pull in a lot more about information from your ERP or what marketing events or even what climatic events might have happened. Salesforce will give them benefit of the doubt and say maybe they can go up to here, although I think that takes a lot of running of different reports. But Birst is actually the whole way through in terms of value. ForeFront can also bring in the cloud integration piece, although Birst itself has a great internal ETL tool to bring data in. But if you've got some complex data, we can actually go out and pull in vSAM and COBOL into your units that Birst doesn't quite have out of the box. So again, in terms of the analytics and when you're talking to your business users, it's hard to move data from one system to the other without the proper tool, aka a Birst. Also, operational ERP apps have performance issues. You can't run against them because now you're going to have performance issues for your clients that are actually using the system. The pipeline visibility in Salesforce, again, you can actually see how many are in top stage, and you can run different reports and say here's the stage 1 and here's the stage 2 and here's the stage 3. But you're really not without extensive snapshots, and really even then you still have to run reports and reports. You're not going to see what moved in and what moved out and what opportunities those were tied to. It's definitely it's impossible, in fact, to do forecasting inside Salesforce, and that's where you need a tool like Birst. And there's also a limited diagnostic capability. You can't drill into when you're doing your analytics, trying to see what happened. You've got to go back in and see, was there a marketing campaign? Did a salesperson leave? You've got to be able to do that analysis. With CRM, it's great for transactions. It's not great for analytics. Birst, as you saw, it has a great front end. It's very intuitive. You can see what the pipeline was as of February 27th. You can see which stage 2 got to stage 3 in that month. It's getting the big picture. You want to see what's fallen out. That's a big issue with most of these CRMs and SFAs, is they don't tell you what didn't happen, sort of. Was there enough added? How am I doing compared to last year? Which reps are underperforming? How effective are my leads? How many leads are really going over? Under what circumstances? And what's causing the leads to go over? So these are all areas that Birst can help. Birst in the cloud or Birst on site. And what you need to do that is a couple of good groups. That's Birst, which is our out of California, and ForeFront in the New York area, although most of our clients actually are worldwide. And so I'm going to stop this now and see if there are any questions that you guys would have. Let's turn it over, and Stacey, if you want to talk about any questions that may have come up.
Hey, Anne-Marie, this is Kelly. I've received a few private questions, so I'm going to go ahead and just read them aloud to you if that's okay.
Perfect.
First is, how long does it take to build a solution like the one that was shown?
Well, the solution that was shown with Birst, I'm taking it's the one that was shown in terms of the demo. I think that would take a couple of days. It would depend on where your marketing information was coming from and your Oracle information was coming from. But you could bring over very specific data fairly easily in terms of analytics. Karin, if you want to talk about that a little bit more, that would be helpful.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it is. We measure implementations typically in hours and days rather than weeks and months, and it's really a case of because of the way Birst works, you can put everything together so that one person can build the end-to-end solution, which means that we can build an early solution, show it to the users, and if they don't like what they see, it's easy to rework it and adjust it. It's got a very agile approach to it.
Cool. I have another question here. Is there a lot of training involved in this, and how easy is it to learn?
There's actually a lot of there is a lot of training that is available. Birst does an excellent job of telling you how to do this. There actually can be sort of different users. You can have a user that's sort of a super user, and then you really do need, for some of the setup, somebody who does understand data modeling, so that you're making sure that some of the information is correct. However, overall, the people that need to run the system once it's been set up can really be business analysts that can get the data. Birst does excellent training. We've trained a number of people here with about a week's worth of training. Most of our developers here and business analysts were able to use and actually put together demos by themselves.
Okay, and received one more question. If I need to bring in other sources, can they be shown in here as well?
Absolutely. We showed you marketing and an ERP as a system, but a lot of times what we've seen, we're into complex integration. We've come into Salesforce with 18 different systems, so you might have your logistics system, you might have your inventory, you might have your cart information that is out there. You could have your revenue recognition information that's out there and telling you really what's being recognized in terms of your software that has been sold. So it really doesn't stop you from bringing any data in. There are out of the box with Birst multiple databases that they can pull in. You can actually pull in data by XML as well, which is another solution. And if you really have some old complex data, that's why you might need an outside tool or some assistance with people like ourselves at ForeFront, because we do integrate very, very complex old systems.
Okay. I am not seeing any other questions come through right now. So Emery or Ray, if you have any final thoughts before we wrap up, please feel free to go ahead and speak to the audience right now.
Okay, no problem. We will be forwarding this presentation along with our contact information to everybody who has attended. So I think the best thing to do is actually reach out to Birst or to ourselves, and we can answer questions that are a little more explicit. Talking about really the endpoints that you would want to do, or whether it's on the marketing or the opportunity end or the sales end. We did target this towards Sales Cloud, but it actually can also be used for many other items, including Service Cloud or standard supply chain management as well. So, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'd love to have you challenge us and see how we can work that.
All right. Well, thanks so much, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.